Welcome to a new week here on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast. I'm your host and guide, Ashley Micciche. I'm a financial advisor and the co-owner of True North Retirement Advisors, a fee-only fiduciary financial advisory practice managing over $425 million in assets. For 17 years, I've helped my clients retire with confidence, and my goal on this podcast is to help you do exactly the same. I try to simplify the complexities of retirement so you can focus on what truly matters, living a fulfilling retirement while maintaining financial security. I'm turning 40 this week, and I was planning to share with you 40 life lessons I've learned over the last 40 years. But as I was getting ready to record, the stock market continued its turbulent path, and both the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 officially entered correction territory. Now, the last couple of days as I sit to record this have actually been stronger days in the market with some recovery, but it's tumultuous, and I thought it would be timely and hopefully more valuable to share some insights on corrections, what they mean, how to deal with them, and talk about what to do in this current environment. Now, an interesting tidbit is that 401k trading activity was quadruple the normal amount just in the last first week of March or so. So in other words, the normal trading activity that would typically happen across the board in a month's time happened in a week. And this is really saying something because 401k investors, they tend to trade their accounts less actively. People aren't day trading their 401ks. In fact, one of the problems that I see with 401ks is once you set it up, a lot of people just don't watch it that closely. They don't even know what they're investing in. So it's really saying something that 401k activity was 4 times the typical amount just in the early part of March. The takeaway is a lot of people have been spooked and they're moving money into bonds, into money markets, safer investments compared to what they were in. Now, this isn't necessarily a good thing, and I'll talk about that. But before you take any knee-jerk reactions, hopefully you haven't already sold everything in your 401k and put it in some stable value or cash-like investment. It's really important to take the long-term view, take a pause, and make sure you're making wise decisions with your money. So that's what I'm going to help you do this week, to kind of step back, assess the situation, talk about what is a correction. Tomorrow, in fact, I'm going to define what a correction is, because you're going to hear, if you haven't already, you've been hearing it in the news already. Most likely, if you follow any of the financial, even mainstream news, it's talking about corrections. Well, what is a correction actually? It has this very specific definition. And what does it usually mean? When the market enters correction territory, what does that usually mean? And I think hopefully it'll encourage you a little bit, because corrections are pretty normal and most of the time they're pretty healthy. So I'll talk about that tomorrow, and then we'll go along this week talking about some of the things you can do to help protect yourself in a correction, especially if the correction, which sometimes the correction is the beginning of a worse downturn, a bear market, which is a more severe downturn, which, the market usually turns south before the economy does. So sometimes the correction is like a warning shot that the worst is yet to come, but most of the time it's not. So regardless of whether or not we're in a correction that is healthy, normal, natural, or a correction that is a sign of worse to come, there are specific steps you can take to help protect yourself, to reposition your portfolio. I'll talk in depth this week about how to do just that. All right. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Micciche, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips podcast.